Okay. So today we'll start with exception handling. Right. Now, what is exception handling and why we need it? Okay. So in my Python, I have two types of errors. One, I can say my syntax errors. And second is my exceptions. All right. Now, whenever you write any program, my first Python will check if there is any syntax error or not, and it will try to execute it. Right. Now, when it tries to execute, there might be some issue with your code, which Python figure out later that okay, this is something is wrong with this. Okay. At that time, it will raise me a exception. Okay. So all these exceptions, so exception will stop your execution, right? So I can write a try and except block to handle this exception so that it will not stop my program execution. That will be my main intention, right? So a program should run continuously. Okay. Another thing will be when we see errors at the moment. Okay, it displays everything. It displays from which location you are executing the file, in which line you have the error, and what is the error. All these things, right? Now, just imagine if you launch if you launch the tool as it is in the production. If there is an error, then my user will be able to see that in this line they have made this error and this is the error and all these things, right? So to user, if in case if any error occurs, you are supposed to just display the error message rather than the entire code in which line you're getting. All these details should not be exposed to the user, right? So all these things can be achieved using my exception handling. Okay, so let's take a simple example. I'm saying print t. Okay. Now if you say syntactically, I'm writing the print statement, I'm providing the parenthesis, and I'm writing a variable name, right? Logic syntactically this is perfect. There is no error, right? But the main issue is I haven't defined this array, right? Now if I run this, it will give me obviously an error, but now just focus on the error. So this is giving me the name error, right? So that name A is not defined. Okay. Now from where we are getting all these errors? Okay. So we have this defined in my built-ins. Okay. So if I just do print dir of underscore underscore built-ins. Okay. At the top, you will see these are all the exceptions which are defined in my Python. So this is our name error, this is our key error when we try to access a dictionary by value or a key which does not exist. Then which we have seen till now. That I guess we must have seen something related to my files. Then stop iteration we get in types of my iterator. This IO error is for my input output file related query issues. Okay. So these are my inbuilt exceptions, which Python has already defined in it, right? Now, if you do help of it, you can read about each exception, that what this exception is all about, right? So, I'm saying print A, and it was showing me an error, right? Now let's come to the part how I can handle this exception. Okay. So in order to handle the exception in my Python, I do not have to import anything, okay, or I do not have to show say any throws and throwing for the class name, anything like that. You will just say try. So try will be again a block of code. So whatever problem might cause you exception, you will write inside of my try block, right? So I put colon, okay, which will show that this is a block of code, right? And all the statements you will write here. Now the statement which will give an exception should be inside of your try block. Then only you can handle it. Okay. What I'm saying is print a, oops, print a here, right? Now, if I run this now, then also I'll get the. So this is. Oh, do I have anything else? Okay. So now this is incomplete, right? Now I'm saying except. Okay. So I'll be writing try block and the except block. So it will try to execute the code which I have in my try block, and in case if there is an issue, then only it will move to your except block. Okay. So here I'm saying print. Okay. So I'm writing something meaningful message. Now if you see, now I'm not getting error. Okay. Now if I write anything after this also print. Okay. So this will work. So this is not restricting my program execution also. Now important thing, you have to make sure that whatever statements you are writing outside this should not be dependent on this, right? Then only it will make sense to continue your program. Let's say if you're writing something which is completely dependent on the variables or the values used in this particular block of code, obviously this will also going to give you an error, right? So this thing you have to make sure. Okay. Now, when I say try print a, it is giving me this message. After this, this is continuing from here, right? Now, even if I try something else here, okay. So you see this is not getting executed. Why? So whenever there is an exception, my program flow will terminate from there and it will go to the except block and it will start executing from there, right? Now if I make it clear, let's say I'm saying A is equals to 2015, I'm saying print A. Now what will happen? It will check A is 15 defined, print the value of A, okay, execute this. As there is a no exception, now this block will not be executed. Okay. You'll say 15, just another statement is got executed, but now this variable not defined first assign is not getting. Yeah. So this is my program flow. If there is exception at that moment, so this is like same as my continuous statement. Whenever we write a continuous statement, it directly jumps to the next iteration without checking is there anything else after that or not. Same case, if you get an exception, it will defaultly go to your except block and it will start executing from there. Okay. Now let's try to move ahead. So now I'm saying print A is clear, right? I'm saying print 10 divided by 0. Okay. Now which is an invalid operation, right? So this should give me 0 division error, right? I'm running this. Now if you see, I have an issue with this 10 divided by 0, but I have a single except block which is showing variable is not defined, first assign value to a variable, which does not make any sense, right? So I should get the error message which is related, something related to this, not related to any generic message, right? So this works. So you can handle any kind of exception using this try and except. But if you want to debug your own code, this is not the handy approach to do that. Okay. So how to do that then? Okay. So except block, you can write multiple except blocks. Okay. So what you will do after this except, you will tell Python explicitly for which kind of errors you are defining this block. Okay. So this we were defining for my name error, right? Right? Now just see. Now I have handled exception name error. So this except block now is only for my name error. So this is not gonna handle this 10 by 0. So if I run this, it will show me 0 division error, division by 0, something like that, right? So, but I can write another except block. So I'll say except zero division error colon. Mhm. Now in this case we will get the correct message. Okay. So standard way of writing exception will be you will write one try block, you will write the code which may possibly throw exception inside of your try block, you will write an except block, and you will explicitly handle what kind of exception you have. Okay. But still if you have, there may possibility that some exception can come up, right? Which are yet unhandled. In that case, your generic exception block will come into your help. Okay. So we'll say accept and you'll print it here. Let's say runtime error. Okay. Now anything else apart from name error and the zero division error, which is you haven't thought of, that this can be also the exception, will come to this particular runtime error category. Okay, so that your code will. Yeah. Next thing is my finally block. Now, I have finally block which works the same as my Java also. Now, what is my finally block? So finally block will get executed regardless of exception or there is a no exception. Okay. So we have seen except block only get executed if there is exception. Let's say we have a name error, so it will come to this. It will execute this particular except block. This will not be executed, right? But finally block regardless of exception or no exception, it will execute. Now when we use this finally block, okay? Let's say you're working on some files. Okay? You're doing some file handling, you're reading, writing, opening file, all this stuff you're doing, right? Now while doing some operation, you got some exception and you're handling that IO error, right? Once this is done, you have to close the file, right? Even if your operation is successful, you are done with that, you have to close your file. Or if there is an exception, you have to close your file. In that case, that particular code you can write inside of your finally block. Okay. So my finally block will execute regardless of my exception. So let's say you are working with the remote system, or let's say you're working with the databases, right? So you have to open the connection with the database and you have to close the connection with the database, right? So that should happen regardless of exception or there's no exception, right? So all such kind of scenarios you can handle using your finally block. Okay. If you see, this block will right. This block will get executed regardless of exception. Now let's clear all the exceptions, right? Okay, so I've defined the E. Okay, now I guess everything looks cool. Let's see. If you say just another statement after parent block, and this is executed regardless of exception, and statement after method. So this block will get executed regardless of exception or no. Yeah, try this example first.
Can you give any name for the exception? Or just
Which one?
This became name error, right?
These are my user defined. These are my inbuilt exceptions. We will see user defined ones. So these all are defined in my built-in module. Zero division, name method, all this. Okay. So the normal operations, like whenever you're dealing with any file or any database, it's always advised that opening the file, all that stuff should be inside of a try access block, because you will never know that file got corrupted and you are not able to open the file, and because of that it will throw the error for your entire next, right? Okay. So we have seen this as inbuilt exception, right? That you can read the purpose and you can assign it accordingly, right? But let's now, if I want to define my own exception, okay? So all you have to do, you have to say class, let's say I'm saying value less than expected, something like this. This is my exception. You have to extend the base class. So this is my inheritance, right? So I'm specifying the base class. Okay. And we will just say class. That's it. Okay. So now let's say this is the exception which I have defined, is to check if the value of, let's say, a is less than 20, I should raise this exception, right? I just go in here, I'll see if e less than 20. Okay. And for else, I keep all these things. Okay. Saying less than 20. Now, if you want to raise any exception, now this is the condition you are expecting that your code should raise an exception. Okay. Python provides me a keyword called raise. Okay, you will say raise and you will define the exception name which you want to raise. Okay. Now you have to handle this particular exception. Okay. Alright. I'm writing something else. Let's see. Okay. So all you have to do, you will define one class, you will define a name to it, you main thing, you will extend it from your base class. You do not have to need to provide anything, just say pass in that. Okay. Now you can raise an inbuilt exception also using this raise statement. Okay. So let's say you want to explicitly raise a name error at this point of time. Instead of this, you can say name error also, and it will raise an exception for you. But you have to handle that exception. That's okay. Yeah. Now let's say I have a list. Okay. Now when you try to iterate, okay, what you have to do, you have to just read the first value and second value. You have to print tuple of it. Okay. What you have to print? You have to print 10, 20. You have to then print 20, 30. Then 30, 40. Okay. Likewise, when you go at the end, you will get 60, nothing, right? For this nothing, this will throw you index out of bound exception, right? Check what exception it throws. If you try to compare the element which does not exist, obviously it is index error. Okay? And try to handle that exception. So your output only should display till 50, 60. Okay, try this.
Have we seen list comprehension? Yeah. I'm getting 10, 10, 20.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting 10, 10, 20, 20, 30, 30.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm using enumerate to get index and the value. Inside of this loop, what I'm saying just print me allows, actually we don't need value, yes, tell allows index comma allows index plus one, right? Now if I print this, it will go till end of the length. In the end, it will throw me an exception, right? So first change the brackets, yeah, exactly. Okay. So this is giving me index error list index out of count. So I'm getting this index error, right? Apart from this, I'm getting everything correct. 10, 20, 20, 30, 30, 40. So this is fine, right? All I have to deal with this thing, right? So how I do, I'll just say try except which error I'm accepting here. It's index error, just print end of list. Stop it. Okay. Just run this. Once you print this, it will show you the end of list of it. And you're done.
I'm just taking it into practice.
So you're saying star L2 is equals to, or you want to use during this comparison. Okay. Index, okay, one element on that.
and next element in this we have for index index and the I, and from that you are taking this thing. So logically this looks correct, but it's not containing anything. Let's start for the single element first. A single element is here. Or index I. So we are not working with this L1 L2. But when you print L2, acha, you want to print the entire list, right? Uh, but the thing is, so yeah, you are getting correct out of it. The reason is, if you see, it will check for exception, right? Now you're writing my entire this, okay? I'll show you. So what you do, instead of this entire L1, just add square, okay? I'm going go till start from -1, okay? So that is I'm using my slicing. So do till last, okay? Save it and then it will get a list. Okay. Now the reason this is not working is so this is my entire statement, right? So I'm getting evaluated everything here only. So there's nothing getting next line, right? Yeah. Everything output will be in this line, right? Now you once it will try to execute it, at the end it will get the exception. Now once it gets the exception, it will never go till this line. It will never evaluate your L2. It will directly go to your exception.
But
Okay.
what if you also have this
Here,
yeah, also.
so there will be nothing actually. Try this. I mean, get the exception, because if you do, I guess it should throw error, because at that time it will not assign any value to your L2. So it will say L2 not defined. It should. Let's try this. What is it printing?
Saying this.
So outside of this, you are printed L2. I'm saying, so this will work, right? So this you are storing it. And I'm saying try for the case of exception. Is it good? Okay. So I'm saying L1. Now you will get the exception here. It will come here. That is print end of list, right? Now, save it. So this will say L2 is not defined. As there is the exception, it will not assign any value to this L2. So no matter you have got 4 correct values, but issue in the last one, I will not get anything. Yeah. Try to handle another exception, that's we have seen the index function of my string, right? So this will be kind of a revision also. So let's say I have a string red, blue, green, right? And if I try to do print s dot index of black, or else I can do one better thing. I have something like this. I'm giving this, right? So this will not work. Now this will not work, right? Obviously. What I want you to do, take this string, handle this exception, okay? And in the except block, instead of just printing the error message, okay, check the index of, just convert it to the first letter to capital. That is, we have that capitalized method, right? So capitalize it and then check the index and then print the result. Okay, so it should give you the result.